Hi folks, welcome back to the channel, and today I thought I'd talk about a topic to do with van building and also a bit of an upgrade that you can do to your van as well, and that is why I chose to use Maxxfans and specifically the 400 by 400 millimeter Maxxfan. So the choices really are that you put a skylight in your roof or a Maxxfan, or maybe you don't have any fan at all. I'd kind of go with the fact that you want a little bit of natural light, as much as you can get, and ventilation as well. So in our previous motorhome and the previous campervan to that and the previous campervan to that and the previous motorhome to that, they've all had just standard, I think they're called high-key skylights, and they come in different sizes. There's a massive one which I think is about 900 by 400, 450, something like that. So much so that you can literally climb out of it because it's just such a big open space. You're basically getting flooded with light inside. So that's obviously a huge benefit to a camper van where normally, you don't get a lot of light inside. So that would be obviously the manufacturer's choice to put in skylights. Why do manufacturers probably go with skylights rather than Maxxfans? What are the benefits? Lots of natural light. There's no moving parts, unlike a Maxxfan, apart from the hinge mechanism and stuff, but they're generally no sort of mechanical moving parts in there. There's no electronics or anything like that to it. They're double skin as well, so they add an element of insulation to a window. So much like we've gone for the the caravan style windows for the side rather than bonded windows, because they give us essentially a double glazed window. The skylights, the high keys and all that kind of stuff are a double glazed window as well. Fundamentally, they stick and insert into your campervan roof the same way. You just make a big hole and stick it down, seal it, and then you have a cover for the inside. And if you choose to get the model, then you probably end up with a blind as well. And either one way is sort of like a fly blind screen, or the other way is a blackout blind screen. The Maxxfans have a fly sort of mesh system built into them. So if you do choose to get the shroud that's got the blind in, it also comes with a light as well, which is quite handy. Then it's only got a blackout blind because the mesh is already built into the fan sort of area of the Maxxfan. I've had experience of both. In the motorhome, the last motorhome, I actually ripped out one of the sky lamps and replaced it with a Maxxfan, and the hole was identical. So it was like probably one of the easiest upgrades that you could ever do, apart from the fact that I did chop through one of the cables. But apart from that, it was one of the easiest upgrades you could ever wish to do. They are glued in really well. Once you got the old one out, put the Maxxfan in, it's just a matter of wiring it in. And I found that fantastic because I'd replaced it over the back of the van, over the bed. And yes, it was nice now and again to stick your head out of the skylight and have a bit of a nosy. The 400 by 400, I could just about get my shoulders out. So just about squeeze out and have a shufty outside. Whereas the bigger high-key at the front, with it being so wide, it was easily able to open that and have a proper sort of, well, I could have climbed out if I wanted to. I had solar panels all the way around me on the motorhome. But I was cheeky now and again that I would basically open the skylight, put my drone on the solar panel, take off with the drone, and then just fly it like that if I was just in the middle of nowhere, just wanted to have a look, see of what was around. So they're quite useful for that as well. Going back to what I replaced in the motorhome, the 400 by 400, which incidentally, a lot of tangents in this video, aren't they? Keep track, people. Incidentally, the skylight that I removed from the old motorhome is now in Mandy's van. So we did, keep it, and it's saved Mandy from a few hundred quid's worth of expense, and she's got that one in there as well. So anyway, replaced it with a Maxxfan, and it was over the bed area. And obviously last year was baking in summer. And I was going through pretty much the middle of France, following the Tour de France, mid-30s to just sort of under 40 degrees every other day or so. So that actually saved me. I cannot say how useful a Maxxfan is in heat. You can have it on during the day, crack the windows open a little bit and have it sucking out the heat, because I don't know if you know, but heat rises. So if you've got a vehicle it's going to be baking in the heat, and the heat's going to get to the top. Predominantly your bed is up, so I built a raised bed. In the motorhome, the beds were raised over the garage, so the sleeping area is actually in the hottest part of the van. The coolest part of the van, if you were to try that, is down on the floor. Just, you know, get your blanket and lie on the floor, and you will be a lot cooler that way. But anyway, having the Maxxfan during the day on sort of extract, if you like, certainly got rid of the majority of that heat. So if I didn't have it on, the van inside would be like, say, 40 degrees easy, or late 30 degrees. With it on, I could keep it to late 20s, so it's dropped 10 degrees. So that obviously was helpful for me, but also I had Cooper with me as well last year, and that was obviously helping him as well, just to regulate his temperature. You can also turn them on automatic, so you can set a temperature on the remote. The remote's got a little LCD screen on there, and you can set the fan to automatically trigger itself to extract at a certain temperature. So it means that, you know, if you are leaving a dog in here, or if you're thinking, I don't want my van to get warmer than 25 degrees, as the temperature rises during the day, the Maxxfan will see that rise, and it gets to a certain point that you set, and then it will open the Maxxfan and start to suck out the air. It's not air conditioning, I don't want to give that impression at all, but it certainly does help. And then obviously at the end of the day, at night time, when the outside air is getting a little bit cooler, but your van's still baking because it's absorbed all that heat during the day, and there's no way you're going to get rid of it. You know, it's inside the van, it's in the walls of the van, it's in your insulation, it's in all the furniture inside. All that heat has been absorbed by your vehicle. So the best thing you can do is bring in the cooler air, and that's another great feature of the Maxxfan, is that it works to expel air and also bring in air as well. So like I say, having it over the top of the bed area meant at night time, put it on around about 20%, bringing air in, and that gave a lovely breeze for both me and Cooper, who was obviously in the bed at the same time as well, to make it so it was more than bearable. I would say comfortable in that kind of heat, in that kind of weather. It made it quite comfortable. I mean, another beauty about the Maxxfan as well, is if it's raining outside but it's hot, you know, because it does happen an awful lot. If you've got a skylight of any type, even on the first opening of the skylight, you'll find if the rain's hitting the roof of your van enough, that's going to bounce off and start raining inside your van, or if it's coming at an angle. Whereas the other amazing feature of the Maxxfan is that the back end of the Maxxfan, if this is the hole, the back end of the Maxxfan actually covers the hole quite a lot, and it's got a grate in it as well. So you can actually have the Maxxfan working to bring in cool air or extracting warm air, even if it's raining, which I think is one of the best features about it, in all fairness. So there have been quite a few times, you know, in the summer you do get thunderstorms and it's humid as anything. Just to have some fresh air coming in or extracting the heat out whilst it's raining is actually a game changer, to be fair. I know I sound like I'm bashing the skylights, but you know, the skylight does really just a couple of things. It lets light in, and it allows you to open it up and have a shufty outside. Other than that, that's whereabouts their usefulness stops. Whereas the Maxxfan, obviously you got air coming in, air going out, whether it's raining or not, regulation temperature automatically, and they do let natural light in too. Fair enough, the workings, like I said, the mesh grill, the fly net sort of mesh grill, and the fan itself do distract a little bit from your view out of the skylight, but you can still see out. Fair enough, you probably couldn't really do stargazing out of it, but you can still see out. It's letting natural daylight in, and as long as you keep that area clean, keep the fan blade clean, keep the mesh clean, then you'll continue to get natural light all the time. And speaking of natural light as well, the blackout blind on the Maxxfan isn't quite blackout. You will find that it will let a little bit of light in, which is a bit unfortunate. that they've not silver foil backed it or something like that, so it's not true blackout, but it does obviously cut out a lot of light. I've used a little insert as well in mine, a little foam insert. I've had to cut out a little area for the manual hand crank so it sits in there nice and snug, and then I just close the blind over it, and that then really gives me a proper blackout then. It also helps with wind noise, because there's two things about the Maxxfan really that I would say are niggles. And number one is wind noise. They are not sealed. Because it's got that grate bit at the back, the overhang with the grate in there, the air vent and everything, it means it can still expel air and suck air in, even if it's flat closed, because it's not sealed essentially. Which does mean going down the road you do get a bit of wind noise coming through them. So if you've watched my videos for some time, you've seen me experiment with that. I've tried a wind deflector on the front, I've tried different seals all the way around it, and whilst they've helped a little bit, it's nowhere near as good as actually filling that hole with a bit of foam. And my second little niggle of the Maxxfan is that the plastic casing of the Skylight part of it is single skin plastic. So unlike the Skylights that are double skin and insulated, this is single skin, therefore it isn't insulated. Therefore that's why I've got the foam board that sticks in there as well, because that gives me the insulation that I really need, so that, like I said to you, heat rises. So if I've got my heating on a cold night or a cold day, it's not going straight out of my Maxxfan, even if it isn't switched on. So that's why that foam piece really helps with the Maxxfan. So given all the different types of caravans and motorhomes and campervans that I've had, with regular, like say high-key or just standard Skylights, I decided in this van I'm putting 2 Maxxfans in. Yes, it is nice to see more of the outside natural light, but I can still see at least 50% of it with a Maxxfan. And yes, now and again it is good to be nosy, but it's not as good as a fan in your roof to be able to suck air in and out when you need it, and also get rid of humidity. For example, if you've got a shower in your van, Maxxfan is brilliant at sucking out that humid air after you've had a shower. Certainly in the motorhome, that's what I did. I'd have the Maxxfan on 30%, sucking air out while I had a shower, and I could get out the shower and even the mirrors and everything else wouldn't have condensation on it. It literally sucks the air out. And if, for example, you wake up in the morning and you've got condensation on the inside of your windows, well, if you have your Maxxfan on like 10% overnight on sucking out, that's going to suck the moisture out of your van, and basically, no condensation. Obviously, there is one little caveat to using the Maxxfan to suck air out, and that is that you need somewhere for the air to come in. Otherwise, you can hear it or you can feel it in your ears, because it's so efficient at sucking air out that it can create a bit of a vacuum, and you'll hear it start to whistle because it's trying to suck air out and there's no air coming in. So you do need to make sure that you've got a little bit of ventilation, or if you've got another Skylight, you can leave that cracked open a little bit, and that will suck the air through then, because it's that good. So on Mandy's van, for example, she's got the Dome Air Maxxfan, and that's much smaller unit, and it's only suck air out. That's all it does, just expels the air. But it does mean she's got the Skylight over her bed. She can crack that open a little bit, and the Maxxfan at the front of the van will suck air out of the Skylight over her bed, giving her a little bit of air movement over the bed, and then it'll suck it out the van. And the same sort of thing applies with that one. As long as you've got sort of an airflow, ventilation, then it'll do the same job. But on mine, I can have one Maxxfan on intake and one Maxxfan on out, and that creates a lovely draft in the van, and really does help to remove, like I say, moisture from the air. And if it's hot, you can cool it down considerably that way. For me personally, when I came to deciding what I was doing, having had the experience of the Maxxfan, one of them in the motorhome, I thought about putting a Skylight over the front and a Maxxfan at the back, and went through all the options, and in the end I decided to have 2 Maxxfans, just for the fact that if I'm working here or sitting here at night, I can have the air being sucked in to cool me down, or out, and then at bed at night, again, I can have the same thing. I can have the warm air taken out, or you know, cold air blown in. So that's why I thought I would make this little video just to explain my decision making process by choosing, you know, Skylight or Maxxfan, and with my experience over years of different vehicles and in different weather scenarios and everything else, to explain how useful they are, or the pros and cons of each anyway. So I hope you found this video really useful. And if you had, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share the video as well. If you think it's useful, share it on Facebook or wherever you want to share it. And also, if you're not already, please do consider hitting that subscribe button for more content like this, more tech gadgets, and sort of yeah, a little bit more in-depth chats about campervans, construction, maintenance, and tech about campervans anyway. So there we go. Right folks, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.